Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome to another episode of Improviary. Today we are going to look at finance. I want to make this video short, concise and very helpful, so I'm just going to get straight on with it. These are the 5 things that I recommend that you do this year to get your finances in order and be on track to financial freedom. The first point is to become financially literate and educate yourself. You can do this through podcasts, watching YouTube videos, watching TV shows, reading, which is what I mainly did, or you can listen to audiobook versions. It's really important that you get this foundation of knowledge, because there are quite a few technical terms that I personally had no idea about before I started reading. So last year is when I really got into educating myself on this topic, because realistically you don't learn this at school. I never did any finance or business courses, so it was a big year for me, trying to learn all of these things, and I just feel so much better for it. So I'm going to recommend a few books that I started with. The first one being Rich Dad Poor Dad. You may have already heard about this, but I feel like this was a really good book to start with, because it talks about how the author learned what he knows now through his rich dad, which was his best friend's dad, who was big into the business and finance world. So it was his story growing up, of all the little lessons that he learned, but kind of lessons that a child learns. So basically the rich dad is simplifying everything, and it kind of makes it easier for you to understand. It's not super child orientated, that he did some complex things, but yeah, it just really helps you build that foundation of knowledge. The next book I recommend is I Will Teach You to Be Rich, and even though this is kind of based in America, so there's some things that don't technically apply to us, but it is actually a really good book, and it discusses the 4 basic concepts. So the author Ramit basically says that there's 4 pillars to financial well-being. This includes banking, saving, budgeting, and investing. He goes into each of the 4 pillars, puts it very simply. I personally listened to this audiobook and I quite like his voice. He's quite funny, and even the book is quite funny. And he just makes it very digestible. I also watched his TV show after reading that book, because I just really enjoyed the book. And he basically has different episodes where he helps different people, and I found that really interesting, and you learn stuff on the way too. And another book I recommend is The Psychology of Money. This was probably the 3rd or 4th book I read on finance, and it's quite small, quite easy to read. It kind of goes a little bit more in depth, but kind of around behavior and psychology around money. So not just getting money, but actually keeping it. He discusses different anecdotes of people he knows and things, and basically the lessons you can learn from them. It's just a really good book to kind of teach you how to manage your finances, and I just really enjoyed it. If you're interested in more of a summary of those books, a bit more in depth, I could actually do that. I'm thinking about doing a whole series of book summaries, so let me know if any of those books you'd like to see in that series. I'm also going to be continuing my education this year. There's a few more books that I want to listen and read, and also I want to get into more maybe online course things to do. We'll see. Oh, I also followed this account on Instagram, and they have been amazing, and they keep you up to date with all the news, and they talk about different savings accounts and investing, and yeah, it's really good. I also go on moneysupermarket.com as well, because they actually have really good recommendations. Tip number 2 is to track your spending and budget your money. So this is something that I haven't really been doing before. I've always been quite frugal. However, I do have a tendency to spend money on gym clothes, shoes. I just kind of tap my card and everything's okay. So I do need to kind of hone that in a little bit, make more of a budget. So one thing I've downloaded recently is this app called Snoop. So basically I've connected all of my cards, so I can see basically my current net worth. Not including all your investing and everything. So just my credit card, my normal checking account, and I have a Monzo. I think that's the only 3 cards I have on there. So it basically just shows you how much you have, and then also it like tracks your spending in different categories. So it's just like really useful to have it all on one app. It's quite funny because when you first download it, it does like a quiz. Like once it's had all of your information from the cards, it will like test you on where you think your money's going, or like how much you think you spent, which place you think you spent the most on. And yeah, that's a wake-up call. Mine was like Gymshark, Amazon. They were like my biggest spenders. My goal this year is to just be a little bit more cautious with my spending. I was pretty good last year. Like I had a lot of savings, and I started to like invest and put my money different places. So I'm kind of wanting to get back into like the savings this year. One thing I did do though was put some money into my Monzo every account, and that was like my spending money. So every time I paid for things throughout the week, I would use my Monzo card. So basically my Halifax account was where my money was coming in, and then I would put some into my like investment account, some into my saving, some into my Monzo, and then I would do all my little spending with my Monzo. So that was quite helpful, because then on my actual online banking app, it didn't have all these little mini purchases. That was like all kept on my Monzo. So that's something actually really helped for me. I've been doing something slightly different as of lately. Rather than using my Monzo, I've been using my credit card. I will discuss that in the next point. So the app actually might be really useful because you can see like what your outgoings are every month, so you can kind of work out how much money you have to save and invest with. So tip number 3 is to get a credit card. I left this way too late. I should have had this years ago. I am 27 now, and I think I got it maybe in summer when I was 26. So that's just way too late. If you haven't already, get one. Not to like use all the time and rely on and get in debt. No, we don't want that. There are some very basic rules to follow when you have a credit card. Based on what I found out last year, they recommend using about 25% of your credit card limit each month, and then paying it back in full at the end of the month. So you are not getting any interest charges, you pay it all back in full, you're showing that you are like responsible to pay your money back, and then eventually your credit limit will go up. Actually, recently I got this email, and I have now got a higher credit limit. Perfect, that's what we want. So eventually it will just like keep going up and up, so then you can spend more on your credit card but still keeping that 25% limit. There are lots of different types of credit cards. I recommend going on moneysupermarket.com and comparing them all, kind of see what works for you. And I'm pretty sure you can do like a quiz, like you type in your information and they show you what you can do. I just have a Capital one because I had an extremely poor credit score before, because I haven't really had the opportunity to prove that I'm good with money. Literally, I'm 27 years old and my mum still pays for my phone. I like give her the money, but I just transfer it straight to her account. It's all still in her name because like she gets like a certain deal. I know, I'm still a child. So that happened, and then I was like renting, living at home in my like mid-20s, so I obviously was just paying my dad money straight away for like rent and bills, so like nothing was like in my name. I only really had like car insurance, which actually no, I think that was my partner. So I really just didn't like have responsibility, which has its pros and cons. But now I'm paying the price for it because my credit score is a little lower, but I'm slowly working my way up. So yes, moral of the story, get a credit card as soon as you can because I left it too late. The next tip is to save, but not just save money in any bank, okay? We want a high interest savings account for you. We want to make your money work for you. We don't just want it to sit there. I personally had savings like all throughout like my early 20s, and they just sort of sat there, and I'm pretty sure it was like less than 1% interest, which is terrible, and I just had no idea. It was such a waste. So luckily our saving rates have gone up as of recent years. So like last year they really boomed. I think it's gone down a little bit now, but it's still like pretty stable. So definitely, again, I went on Money Supermarket because they update you on all the different saving rates. I personally use the easy access savings account called CHIP. This means that I can access it whenever I want, but when I put it in, it's got about like 4.7 maybe percent, something like that. So if I need to take it out, I can. If you have a larger sums of money that you don't want to touch for like a minimum of a year, you can then open up a fixed term savings account. This is typically a higher interest rate, obviously, because you can't touch the money for like 1 to 2 years. So that's something that you can do if you're in that position that you don't need to touch that money. And then the third method is to have an ISA. ISA stands for Individual Savings Account, and basically you can open these up and get up to 20,000 a year of tax-free savings. So the great thing about ISAs is that whatever interest you make on up to £20,000 worth of savings, you will not get taxed on. I personally have 2 ISA accounts. So I have one lifetime ISA. This is through the app Moneybox. If you are, I believe, below the age of 30, 35, something like that. I'll have all the information on the screen. Basically, you can save up to £4,000 a year in your LISA, lifetime ISA, and you will get a 25% back from the government. So if I put in £4,000 a year, I will basically get a £3,000 from the government to put towards my first home. So I think it's the first home or retirement are the 2 things that you can save towards. There are rules in that, so I think there's like a certain like the house has to be within a certain price or something that you need to look into. But honestly, if you're saving for your first home, then it's like a really good method to do, because if you're saving for 5 years, that's literally like £5,000 extra you'll just get given from the government. So you are allowed to have multiple ISAs, but as long as the money you're putting into the total of the ISAs is within £20,000. So for example, like the lifetime ISA is a maximum of £4,000, so I still have £16,000 limit that I can put into other ISAs. So it's okay to have more than one ISA. So now we are talking about my stocks and shares ISA. Let's move on to the 5th point, and that is to invest your money. This was something I learned way too late. I would have loved to have known about this all sooner, so compounding could get to work and I could have had a lot more in my investment portfolio, but it's okay. We're there now. Last year I made some moves and I'm feeling very good about it. Honestly, the best time to start investing is now, so don't worry about the time that you've wasted, just get straight on to it. I am personally not a financial expert. I am just sharing the basic information that I have learned over the year. So make sure you do your own research. I'm not going to advise you on what to invest in. All I can share is what I personally do, and still I won't share all of that because it's quite personal. But if you are starting out, then a good thing to do is to get a platform like Trading 212, open up a ISA, the stocks and shares ISA, and then you can start to buy stocks and shares. Obviously, buying individual ones can be risky and involves a lot of research, and that is just a high risk, okay? It works really well for some people. I personally am not there yet, okay? I don't just like put loads of money into a certain like one company each month because it's risky, you know? I'm not calling. So if you are looking for a low risk way of investing, then I recommend looking into low cost index funds. This is something that you'll hear a lot about in the books that I recommended. So if you are looking for a low risk way of investing your money, kind of to provide you in the future, not for short-term gain, then I recommend looking into low cost index funds. So this is something that I do every single month. On the platform of Trading 212, I've set up an auto invest, so every single month a certain amount of money goes out of my bank account straight into my Trading 212 platform, and it auto invests into the low cost index fund that I have chosen to invest in. Basically, an index fund is like a group of stocks. An example of an index fund, to kind of get you to understand what that means, is the S&P 500. You may have already heard of that. So basically, rather than investing in Apple, say, you have 500 different companies that you're investing in. These are all American companies, and Apple is one of them. and then there's like 499 other ones. So each month you're investing into that, and then yeah, some may go up, some may go down, but over time it kind of levels out. Obviously it's not guaranteed still, there's risk in all of your investments, but there's also a risk in just leaving your money in the bank account and settling for like 4% interest. So you really just kind of like need to weigh up the pros and cons. I feel quite safe in putting my money in index funds because it kind of rises with inflation. It's super easy to use, really low fees, and if I go onto it I can see how much I started with and the percentage of gain that I've got now, how much money I do have. You can also have some that pay dividends, but also by having your money in the stocks and shares ISA, then you won't pay tax on those dividends up to the £20,000, but obviously that includes all your ISAs. This video is in no way sponsored by Trading 212, but I do have this referral link, like refer a friend. So if you sign up with this link that I would leave in the description bar below, then you get £100 worth of free stocks and shares when you sign up. So, and I get it too, so we can all help each other out. Okay, I understand that was probably a lot of information, and I am not an expert in the slightest. I'm just sharing things that I've personally learned over the past year. So that's just a disclaimer, everyone. Don't come at me. Okay, I'm just trying to help. This year I will be continuing my journey to financial literacy and financial freedom, so I will definitely share things along the way. So make sure you subscribe if you want to see more updates. I will be looking at more great resources to share with you and things that have personally helped me. So yeah, let's do this. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck with your 2024 financial journey. If you have any questions, leave them down below, or just follow me on Instagram and like give me a DM, and I can happily answer everything that I know the answer to. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.